Hello and welcome back to the Sam Beast YouTube channel. My name is David Foxen, and before we start, a massive thank you and welcome to all of our new subscribers. We have grown a lot over the past few weeks and your support is massively appreciated, and we really hope you enjoy our videos here. Now, last week we looked at our top 5 software savings opportunities. This week, you guessed it, top 5 hardware savings opportunities. So let's get straight into our top 5 hardware asset management, hardware saving opportunities that you can implement or think about within your ITAM function and your organization. Okay, so number 1 on my list, and something that I cannot believe that people are still sleeping on, and that is IT asset disposition. We've got a whole host of videos around what IT asset disposition is, what it means, and how it can be beneficial for your organization. But for the purposes of this video, that is my number 1 cost saving, cost optimization opportunities within the hardware space. This element of it that we're focusing on here is basically when you are selling off your old and unwanted IT equipment. This can be full assets, the full laptop, the full phone, the full tablet, the full monitor, the full server, whatever it is, or it could be components of that if the full asset isn't workable anymore. You get a profit share with your ITAD provider. So basically what you do is you give the ITAD provider your equipment, they go through, they test it, they see if there's a resale market in there, if there's a resale value in there. If not, they will strip it down for parts and make sure that they data dispose of the hard drive and any data bearing parts of the equipment and resell the rest. If it is reusable, they'll completely wipe the asset of data, you get the data destruction certificates, and then they prepare and sell that on your behalf. There's typically a 70-30 kind of profit share split. You get 70% of the profits, they get 30%. And that also includes all of their service fees and stuff like that. So it is all the profit that you get back. It doesn't include their services. They've already taken that as part of the 70-30 profit margin. This is an absolutely open goal and a fantastic way for you to make money through your end-of-life assets. You could potentially be making hundreds of thousands of dollars, euros, pounds a year by selling your old and unwanted equipment. I don't understand why more people are not doing this. I know it's a bit of a pain to get off the ground, but the benefits are huge and the benefits are there for all to see, and it also makes IT asset management just look amazing. When you go back to your leadership team and say, we have sold $150,000 worth of equipment that was end of life, that previously we just threw away. We've actually got money back for that we put into the budget. It just shows the value of ITAM. I also hear arguments from some organizations that people come and collect the equipment for free for them. So they come in, get all their old equipment and take it away, and that's pretty much the end of the transaction. They don't get any money back for it. Whatever they do with it, they don't care. They can go and do it. They've collected it for free. Potentially missing out on some big money there. And with the current economic climate and ways of working, that's not a great use of your end-of-life assets. It's a great way for that equipment to really give back to you and the organization one last time. It's served its life beautifully for you. It's done everything you needed it to do. It's reached the end, reached the retirement, but someone else might find some value on it, and therefore the ITAD people can sell it off and you can get some money back. You can then reinvest this in ITAM. Likelihood is it's just going to go into a centralized pool or back into your hardware budget. But you can claim all of this, track it in your ITAM savings tracker, put it as a cash benefit, a cash bonus, or even just a cash saving if you like, because that money is coming back into you for your old kit. And it's brilliant. More people need to be doing this. It is absolutely brilliant. That is number 1 on my list of suggestions. Number 2 is hardware usage audits. Very much like we mentioned in the software one, when we're looking at inactive software usage, here we also want to look at inactive hardware usage. Again, the very similar process and concept to the software. You're going through, you're looking for hardware that's still assigned, still in use, but hasn't been online for 30+ days. You can then conduct a hardware audit, very much like on the software, requesting more information about why it's offline. If the user still needs it, fine, just remind them that they need to put it back on the network once every 30 days. But if they don't need it, reclaim it back. Reclaim it back, put it into your stock, get ready to redeploy that for the next hardware request that comes in for that particular asset type or that model. Now, you can save some cost avoidances over this, and I've seen a lot of organizations that use the remaining depreciated value as a cost avoidance in their ITAM savings trackers. But then I've also seen other organizations that take the whole value of buying a new one as the cost avoidance in their savings tracker. It all depends on what your SLT wants to show, whether they want to show, yeah, we got this laptop back, but it's only worth $300 now, or we got this laptop back, yes, it's only worth $300, but that saved us $1,100 in buying a new one. It all depends on what you agree with your leadership team and your senior management ITAM sponsor on how you're going to save that and how you're going to track that in your savings tracker. But again, such an easy thing to do. Get your inventory data. When was it last online? When was it last discovered? Who was the last known user? Contact them. Where is this device? Why are you not using it? We can see it's listed as in use in our AMDB. If you no longer want it, we'll absolutely have it back. We'll either put it in stock so that it can be reused, or if it's old, we'll send it off for ITAD and hopefully get some money back at the end of its life. My third in my top 5 for hardware savings is model standardization. This may not seem like a big deal, but actually it can be. No approved hardware standard or hardware specification for your equipment. You may end up paying off-the-shelf prices for just random models and specs that hardware provider has at the time. To give you an example of this, you may be buying Dells in one part of the business, Lenovo's in another, HP's in another, Microsoft Surface Books over here. It doesn't make sense because you're not buying in the quantities, you don't have the same spec. You've also then got to support a load of different models and hardware vendors that you don't really need to do. If you can consolidate that all, build an approved hardware convention with the makes, the models, and the specs, and then you can go and do a hardware RFP, award one winner that is going to provide you with your laptops and your desktops and whatever else. You can tier these as well to say you want a VIP device, you want a creative device, a CAD device, whatever. You can set the profiles for that. But as long as you have that standard, that specification streamlined, globalized, and published, then you can negotiate much better rates with those hardware vendors. Instead of just going and picking stuff off the shelf, whatever they've got available at the time, I don't know what that is, some sort of new dance move, you can actually go towards them with a strategic output and go, this is the laptop models we want. This is how many we're going to need for break fix, hardware refreshing, and general growth within our organization. What can you do? How can you help us with this? What better rates can you give us? And hardware vendors will discount the model unit price when you're committing to or when you're actually buying more. Just like with software, the more you buy, the bigger discounts you can leverage. This will also then help your technology teams in supporting fewer hardware models. It will also give the end users the same experience. One person doesn't have a device over here that's wildly different to someone else in their team. Makes no sense. It doesn't give you that unity and conformity. And from an ITAM perspective, it really helps you with your hardware refresh planning, your budget planning, and general strategic direction. But from a cost savings perspective, the main saving here is being able to strategically go to a hardware vendor, give them numbers, give them a procurement plan, and then you can negotiate rates based on that. You get additional services such as imaging, asset tagging, ITAD, or even reselling internally to your own end users. So well worth having a look at. Again, a bit of a bigger plan, a lot of stakeholders involved in this, a lot of moving parts to agree the standard. But once you do, it makes procurement so much easier, ITAM so much easier, support so much easier, budgeting so much easier, and you can also put some cost savings in there as well. Win-win. Next up, very much in line with what we were just referring to with the hardware standardization on the models, is the specifications as well. Having a look at the current specs that you're buying for your end users and really validating whether they actually need that. A lot of organizations are moving to cloud first, using things like a Google Cloud or OneDrive to put all of their files and their documents in. That then reduces the amount of storage they'd need on an SSD, for example. They may have been buying 1 terabyte, but now they're actually seeing usages less than 512 gigabytes. Therefore, we can reduce the amount of SSD storage that we're buying and save a bit of money. Per unit price, it may not be a lot, but if you're a bigger organization, that will add up. You can also throw in memory, RAM, into this as well. Do they really need the amount of RAM that you're providing them? It may be that you've purchased 16 gig of RAM for devices because you had creatives or CAD people in mind, but for the average user in finance or even in ITAM or IT, we don't need that amount of RAM. Maybe you could reduce that down to 8 gig. Again, RAM at the moment isn't expensive. It used to be, but if you add it all up, you could end up saving a bit of money. Looking at the screen specification, graphics card, all of the components that you're adding on, or potentially adding on an additional extra when you're buying your hardware, really look at it. Do you really need it? Is there business justification for that spec? Is there business justification for spending an extra $45 for increased RAM or an extra $65 for a better processor or graphics card? It may not be the case. You may be able to strip that back down, see no impact to the users whatsoever, but see a big impact on your hardware budget and your hardware savings. Worth a thought, worth investigating. Speak to your technical teams, very much like with the standardizing of the models. A lot of stakeholders involved here, a lot of testing that needs to be done to make sure applications still run and that remote workers can run with a less spec, etc. It's well worth having a look at if you have got tight ITAM budgets and aggressive hardware savings and ITAM savings parameters that you've been set. Definitely have a look into this one. And finally, my number 5 option is BYOD, bring your own device. I'm primarily thinking here about your mobiles and your tablets rather than your laptops. But if you think about, it may be ingrained in your organization that you're so used to providing every user with a mobile and a tablet, for example. But why? 9 times out of 10, you're not spending $1,200 on the newest iPhone. You've given them a less model, a model that isn't great, isn't what they would use personally, but because it's in their contract, it's a benefit of them joining the organization, you're going to still give it to them. There may also be legacy reasons for this because you had no BYOD policy or ways of managing it in place, but now you do. You've matured as an IT asset management function. You've matured as an IT organization, technology company. You now have those parameters in place. You have the tools in place to manage BYOD more effectively. You can use containers so that you can still manage corporate apps on these devices and not have a look at all of the personal stuff that you may not have had historically. Why not then look at why you're still buying loads of mobile devices? You could end up saving an awful lot of money, both on CapEx and OpEx. I'm thinking of OpEx for those of you that use subscription devices as a service where you have a 3-year contract. You're paying for the SIM, you're paying for the handset. Maybe there's some OpEx savings there. And OpEx, remember, comes out of the bottom line of the organization, the profit and loss margins. So it has a direct impact on your organization's results. If you're buying the hardware outright, you could straight up save hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions over the next 3-5 years if you stopped buying the hardware outright. Even if you stopped the SIMs as well, the savings could be huge. This may be a big culture shift for your organization though. If your users are used to having a phone and expecting a phone, it's in their employment contracts. You're going to have a bigger conversation with HR. And when you do have those conversations, and if HR agree to BYOD and you've got the infrastructure to be able to support that, you're going to need the culture change for those end users. Explaining why, explaining what's happening, setting those expectations for new starters that that's it, there's no more company provided phones. Your HR teams may say that they want to give existing employees an allowance for the next year or the next 3 years, but again, that's probably going to be significantly less than what you're going to spend on the handset and the mobile phone contract for the SIM. Well worth thinking. This is a big one. This is a lot of effort behind it. But like with all the other ones that I mentioned, the savings could be huge. And if you have aggressive savings targets that your organization has put to you, go back to them with things like this, especially on the BYOD, and say, well, we could forecast it as well. How much money are you spending on phones a year? How much money are you expected to spend on hardware refreshing and growth over the next 3 years? Put figures on it. Say that you could save X amount of dollars, pounds, euros, whatever your currency is, over the next 5 years by using BYOD and having people use their own personal devices. I'm sure their attention will be grabbed if you put some figures around it, and if they're big figures, which I know a lot of the clients that we've worked with, they have been big figures. It's then about getting the stakeholders together to build a project plan for implementing BYOD so that you can still manage your corporate apps and your corporate data on these devices, but it's BYOD, it's the employee's device. And let's face it, like I said earlier, the devices you're providing are probably not even amazing ones anyway. You know, the user may even be thankful that they don't have to carry 2 devices around anymore. I know I, for one, never liked having 2 devices. I always would rather use my personal device than having to carry around a corporate device that's been given to me that's not great and my own device. Just give me one. I don't need to. And I'm sure a lot of people feel the same. You will, of course, have some pushback where they've been at the company 10, 15, 20 years, always been provided with a company phone, don't have a personal phone. sorry, that's unfortunately your problem. The corporate phone that we provided you is for corporate use, not for personal use. So go forth and go shopping and buy a device that we can then manage from a corporate perspective, because we still need to manage corporate apps on that device. But you pay for it. You sort it all out. Good. Go forth and do that. So I really hope that I've given you some food for thought there on 5 reasons. We could do 10, 15, 20, 50, 100. There could be loads of different options on saving money with hardware. If I've missed any out, feel free to leave a comment in the comments down below, or comment on LinkedIn, send me a message on LinkedIn. All of my information is in the description box below. If you've got any weird and wacky creative ways that you save money, I would love to hear about them. So yeah, please do let me know. Really hope you found it useful. Hopefully there's something in there that you can use to save some money on hardware this year and next year and the year after and the year after. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like I said at the beginning, we have grown a lot and it's massively appreciated. So join us at the Sam Beast YouTube channel journey. Join us as we've got loads of amazing content coming out the rest of this year and planning for next year as well. So until next week, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you found it useful. And as always, happy eye-tamming.